Here we go.
It doesn't work in the game. There will be no submarines. No submarines in the game. There will be no submarines.
I should know by now. I've been doing this long enough. Never say never. Oh well. Cheers.
What do you want me to say? Submarines are coming, my dudes. They have announced it. I think it's on the Facebook, it's on the Reddit, it's on the dev blog post, it's everywhere. They are making submarines for the game, and this time it's not going to be just the Halloween event. This time they are actually going to try to implement them in the game. I don't honestly know who to blame for this. If there's blame to be made, is it Wargaming or the community? Because Wargaming has stepped in many times and listened to what the community had to say. Sometimes we liked, sometimes we disliked. But community, well, you know, certain bits and parts of the community have been very, very loud since almost the beginning of the game. And this game has been out more than 4 years. That they want submarines in the game. And as you saw, Wargaming has been resisting so far, but now they're opening a whole new chapter in the book. There's still plenty of ships they can introduce in World of Warships. There's still a couple of nations they can introduce, and they're working on it. But now that they think they finally got the CVs cracked, and that they're finally balanced, and they kind of introduced majority of the things that you could introduce in World of Warships when it comes to surface vessels, they're opening a whole new chapter in the book, and that is submarines. Like I said, I'm really not sure how to approach this, but let's see what they have to say about this. There is a post. I'm sure someone can spam it in the chat. ST Submarines. Back in 2018, many of you have participated in the operation called the Terror of the Deep. This event allowed everyone to try a new class in our game, submarines. By the end of the event, it became clear that our players are highly interested in submarines and we should be engaged in full development. And now, we are happy to announce that the first stages of closed testing will begin shortly, where the new gameplay of submarines will be tested. The American and German submarines will be the pioneers of the new class. I think that's pretty fair, because, I mean, they are the most known submarines in the world. We're just missing Russians, to be honest, because Germans really made them work during World War II. And USA also had them, and they were trying to pull off a bunch of different stuff. They weren't nearly as successful or as popular or as well known as German submarines were, but they were definitely there. And then if we go to a bit more modern era, I'm sure we can introduce a whole bunch of Russian subs as well. And there will probably be a bunch of Japanese subs eventually as well. Probably Brits as well, I'm guessing. As for the rest, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't know about these either. This is all just speculation. After the super test, submarines will be available for players to try on a special server before being added to the main game client. Once introduced, the new class will initially be available in a special separate battle type only, and this final configuration stage will last for several months. This will allow us to make additional changes to the new class under the conditions of the live server. We will be sharing more details with you shortly. Follow our official game channels for more news. So, very brief, very short confirmation that we're actually getting submarines in the game. I'm pretty sure it's no secret anymore to now tell you that this was one of the reasons why we were going to the summit in St. Petersburg. Of course, we didn't know, but I made a guess, and I talked about it on the stream and in the YouTube videos, probably in the Funs with Hunts, where I said, last time Wargaming summoned so many CCs to St. Petersburg was the Great Carrier rework. Now, I kind of struggled to realize, besides additional testing of carriers and future plans and so on, what could be so big that's going to be equivalent to the carrier rework. And the only answer I could find were submarines. And I said, this is my biggest fear, that this is the reason why we're actually going to St. Pete. I hope I'm wrong, and I wasn't. The very first thing, what happened when we arrived in the St. Petersburg, in the office, they gave us a whole bunch of NDA stuff that we need to sign, of course. And then when they let us into this big hall, where we spent basically 2 days, from dusk till dawn, there were, I don't know, 100 chairs, and on each chair, there was a pamphlet. And that pamphlet was basically the schedule of the summit for the next 3 days. I took it. People were still signing NDAs, and I immediately went like, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to go quickly through it, and like, I don't know, third or fourth thing that I've seen was submarines, and I was like, oh God, I knew it. I knew it. I freaking knew it. And yeah, this was one thing that we were just not allowed to talk about, like at all. Simple as that. Because they were not ready to discuss it. We were allowed to talk about the carrier rework. We were allowed to talk, and you know, the upcoming patches. We were allowed to talk about how they balance stuff, and the NTC, or so-called Research Bureau, what with the embargo of couple of days. So we made a whole bunch of us made a video about it, and the whole shit broke loose for about a week until that got kind of fixed. I wouldn't say fixed, but at least it's not as broken. And the other part we were not allowed to talk about. Now, I did tease you a bit. In one of the goodie bags that we got was a deck of cards. And in that deck of cards, the jokers, it's basically a poker deck of cards. The two jokers in that deck of cards were actually submarines. So when I made a video about the trip and all the goodies we got and stuff, I actually showed these cards, and I was like, interesting. Some of you took this as a definite confirmation. Some of you didn't take the hint. I wasn't allowed to say yes or no or to discuss about this at all, but I was allowed to show you the cards. We were basically summoned there to discuss about this, and Wargaming actually told us that we were supposed to playtest already in St. Pete in that summit, that we were supposed to be provided with a playable sandbox server with submarines to see how it's actually going to work within the match itself. Unfortunately, they couldn't get that done on time, so we didn't get to test them, unlike the previous year where community contributors were actually able to test carrier rework. So I was kind of sad about that. We did get to test the whole, like, 3 patches in advance for the whole carrier rework thing, which was kind of nice to see. And we were supposed to be able to test the winning design of the Italian Tier 10 destroyer. Unfortunately, they couldn't get that to work either, so we didn't get to test that either. However, you know, we knew a whole bunch of stuff that, well, half of it we were not allowed to talk until today, and half of it we were allowed to talk after, like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days after we all returned. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what much to tell you. We couldn't really go into details with Wargaming about this because they were not sure themselves. I have no idea. Is this going to go from tier 1 to tier 10? Is it going to go from tier 2 to tier 10? Because I kind of do find it bizarre that you start with a cruiser and then you work your way up to the tier 10. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe introduce a whole new tier 1 to, I don't know, kind of play test it, get used to it before you get thrown into a random match with actual ships that want to kill you. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be playing with oxygen, so you're going to have to surface. From what I remember, they are going to be extremely stealthy. But once you're found, you're basically dead. And that is one of the first things that we were not exactly really happy about. Because I'm really not sure if we're allowed to talk about some of the details that we discussed about Wargaming. But I'm pretty sure you can understand that a lot of the things recently in the game have been automated. Take carriers, for example, and we might be seeing a similar thing with anti-submarine warfare. I don't know how good or interesting or entertaining or, you know, mind-blowing this all is going to be. Is it going to be automated, and how much? We don't know. Are submarines going to be torpedo spammers, or are they going to be you know, one shot, one kill thing, or maybe 2 shot a kill? What kind of torpedoes will they have? Is it going to be short range, super long range, medium range, guided, acoustic, electric, magnetic? I don't know. I don't think Wargaming has decided that, hasn't decided that themselves. But let's be honest. If there's submarines, there's going to be depth chargers, there's going to be hedgehogs, there's going to be one ping only. The game is going to take a whole new shape and form when these things hit, however you look at it. How exactly is this going to go down? I don't know. I'm not sure even Wargaming knows at this point. But I do know that they want this in their game, and they're going to do their best to implement it. And I really hope, since this is now happening. First of all, I'm very curious to see how the community will actually react to this. I really am genuinely curious to see, because I don't know, maybe there's a lot of people out there who really want this, and maybe there's a lot of people out there who don't want this. I'm pretty sure it's actually both, but I'm really curious to see which do we have more? Do we have more people who are disgusted by this idea, or do we have more people who are genuinely excited about this idea? And everyone in between, like, where are people standing with this? How will they be embracing it? And eventually, I'm very curious to playtest this and see how will this work. My biggest fear was that destroyers, who are already extremely difficult to play, and with every new weapon, and with every new consumable, and with every new step that Wargaming is taking, destroyer lives are getting more and more difficult, harder to play. And with now submarines coming to World of Warships, who are going to be the most stealthiest class in the game, now destroyers are losing that one spot the only spot that they had throughout this entire era of World of Warships. They were the most stealthiest ships in the game. And very often, they were the ones who... Reddit, link to Reddit, this is it. There's nothing more. This is legitimately the only statement they made. Below is just a bunch of comments. So you can simply read it here. Or I'm sure someone can post it there. You very often as a destroyer captain, you were able to determine, you were able to assess and approach a situation, and you were able to choose whether you will engage or not, when, where, and under what conditions. This is going to change now, whether we like it and want it or not, because if you're not the stealthiest, you are not choosing when and where are you going to get engaged. The only real problem to destroyers long time ago were the other destroyers, because you never knew when you were going to walk in to another DD. Then Wargaming introduced RPF, which kind of killed the surprise. Now you immediately knew, based on logic and the radio position finder or radio locator, how it's called today, where and approximately how close the enemy destroyer is. So they killed one aspect of the game with that. Then came the radar, or actually I think radar came before, which was a good thing because it killed the whole super heavy slow meta gameplay, which was ridiculous, but it also made destroyer lives extremely difficult. Not a lot of ships back then had planes and hydros. Now almost every ship has a plane and a hydro, or at least one of the two. And not to mention carriers. Like, carriers are the best scouts, so DDs have lost the scouting ability. They lost the sneaking ability. They lost the surprise ability. And now they're losing the concealment ability as well. So DDs are definitely falling behind greatly. Now, this is not me trying to tell you the destroyers are underpowered and crap and unplayable. No, by all means. There has been some extremely powerful, borderline broken and OP destroyers in the game. Let's talk about Harugumo and Venom. One can just crap a shit ton of shells your way, and the other will do almost the same thing with torpedoes. There has truly been some pretty crazy DDs introduced to the game, but my biggest fear with the upcoming submarines is I don't think it's gonna matter that much how stealthy you are anymore as a destroyer, because submarine will be outspotting you. Now, in talk with Wargaming, I do recall they were saying that if a destroyer spots a submarine, she will be, in like 90% cases, instantly dead. Imagine if you're a vampire, and I'm a vampire hunter. If I lay my eyes on you, I turn on the sun flashlight and you immediately burn out. All I need to do is see you. So darkness is your best friend. It's your only friend. If I lay my eyes on you, I will point the flashlight at you and you're gonna burn out. Let's put it that way. From talking to Wargaming, that's how I understood that the submarine life will be. So they will be extremely fragile, extremely easy killable if you can find them. Problem is going to be, of course, finding them, because they will have the best concealment. And we're talking about a whole new level of gameplay and a whole new era and level of weapons. We have no clue what these things are going to be equipped and armed with. It could be anything. And I'm sure if they're bringing in a whole new class, they're going to try to revolutionize the defense and attack weapons, because why not, honestly? Not to mention that this will now require all the maps in the game to be reworked every single one of them. Which begs another question. If Wargaming needs to rework all the maps in the game so that they actually have depth now, and that you can see when you're, sailing below the surface, ships will have to be visible when they're getting sunk. There's probably going to have to be an ocean floor on some of these maps. I mean, it's not 10,000 meters everywhere, right? If you sink a destroyer or a cruiser or a battleship or a sub or a carrier, any ship in the game, surface or underwater, submerged, close to an island, will it stay beached underwater? Will it kind of stick outside? Because now they have to start thinking about this. Otherwise, it's gonna what? Sink in the sand? Will ships be able to, if you're below it? What happens if you try to surface while the ship is above you? What happens if a ship gets sunk while it's above you and its wreck is gonna, fall on top of you? Is it going to be a ram kill? Is it going to be a kill at all? Is it going to be damage? Is there going to be leaking, flooding, fires? How is this whole thing going to work? When and where and from where will you and how will you actually be able to fire torpedoes? Will there be any surface weapons like, I don't know, missiles? How is the whole carrier thing going to look like? Because I'm pretty sure if this is the only thing sticking out from the ocean sea, this won't have a very big detection rate. Even if the submarine is surfaced, it's still going to be a lot smaller than the destroyer. So its concealment is going to have to be so good that the carriers won't be able to spot them and engage them on their own. Unless they know exactly where they are and they prematurely activate the attack run and then they have a few hundred meters to the side. I don't know. How long are the batteries going to last, if there is going to be such a thing? How long will you be able to keep your oxygen? How long is it going to take for you to replenish oxygen? How fast will you be able to go? One of the probably more obvious and curious questions to answer. Like, seriously, how fast are these things going to be? Because in World War II, if we're not talking about super late war, like late 44 and 45, these subs were going 5 to 7, 8 knots underwater. I mean, take a Katori or a Colorado or something, and they go Mikasa, they go sub 20 knots. And they're dead slow. It's like, it's super boring to play these ships because they're so slow. Now cut that another couple of times. So, unless we're talking like super late war, where they were able to go around 20 knots, the brand new revolutionary Type 21 and 23 German subs, which were the first steps for the modern submarine, they were actually going faster submerged than surfaced. I don't know. Like, how is this going to go? How is this going to work? And where are these things going to be spawned? That's my question. Are they going to be spawned with the rest of the ships? Are they going to be spawned a lot closer? Are they going to be spawned on the sides? And are we going to be seeing 12 versus 12? Or are these things going to get the 12 versus 12 now expanded to maybe 14 or 15 versus 15? Because if there's no longer gonna be 12 versus 12, then we're going to have a whole new level of, well, interesting things. If we are going to stick to 12 versus 12, then you can kiss your damage records goodbye, boys. Imagine if you have every game you play like 3 subs per team, and these things only have, I don't know, 10, 15,000 HP. You need to put them in the game, then you need to put a couple of destroyers and cruisers and battleships in a carrier. You're immediately losing a lot of HP on the field, which means you're losing a lot of damage to be done, which means you can probably start kissing your damage records goodbye when these things actually hit. Because I really don't think these are going to have a lot of HP. Now, I'm pretty sure, or well, I'm not pretty sure, but I'm guessing that their HP pool is going to be exactly the same, calculated as any other ship. It will be important how much you do damage in percentage, and not how much HP at the end of the game you have. But we all know that we like to see big numbers of damage done, and that people like to set new records in damage done, right? I'm pretty sure this will actually start reducing the overall average damage done in all ships across the board. So yeah, that's one of my guessings. And I don't know. Are battleships and cruisers going to be able to fight these? Is it going to be only these destroyers that can fight these? Because destroyers are already dying super easy and super fast. And if you lose them, how do you face subs? There are a billion questions, and Wargaming has answered none of them. They just announced right now that there are submarines coming. The only good thing about this is they learned from their mistakes, and they will no longer implement something as big and as revolutionary as this straight to live server. The way they're going to do it this time is they will make, like, if you go to the game, for example, let's just quickly jump into the game. If you go to the game and you go here, you have co-op, random, operations, ranked, clan battles, and training. There will be another type of battle, which will be some sort of closed server, where only people who click there, like for example, ranked. Now everybody who's playing ranked will be able to play with or against me. And that way, we will be able to face each other. And you will be probably able to pick ships, and you will probably have to pick ships as well, not only submarines in this mode. So it will be like a PTS that's not on PTS. You will be able to go to your port on your regular server, on your regular account, just pick a different battle type, and then you will be eligible to play under these special conditions where there will be submarines. So you will be able to experience on the live server without having to download anything new or particular or different. You will be able to experience how it is to play subs, like Arms Race was. Yeah, you will be able to experience how it is to play with subs and how it is to play against subs. And this should, I genuinely believe, this should result in well, no need for PTS server anymore. Or at least not when it comes to subs, because the problem with PTS is there's not a lot of people, and you can't really recreate everything that you need. You can't create enough conditions to know what's up. And that's why Wargaming often goes with something that's pretty broken to live server to get a lot of people to play it and to break it so they know what to fix. And they start getting a proper info and proper stats and spreadsheets and yada yada, so they can work on that. This way, everybody who has just a regular client will be able to participate, and you won't have to do a damn thing to do it. So I'm guessing there's going to be a lot more people participating in this so-called sandbox closed test server that's going to be available to everybody. So that's a good thing. But I can't tell you if subs as an idea is a good thing. I was always against it, and I would kind of rather if we don't go down this road. But if we are going down this road, I definitely want to be there to test it, as I'm sure we all will be, and see what I can do to make subs fun and playing against subs fun. As I'm sure there will be, and there are a lot of people who are actually super excited about having the underwater warfare. And although I know there's a lot of people who are absolutely disgusted with this idea, but at least these bloody things on our ships now will start making sense. And Friesland, those two big so-called rocket launchers on the front that you could see, they will also start making sense. And yeah, I will not, because I'm not sure if I can, if I'm allowed to, but we did saw a whole bunch of things in the Wargaming office in St. Pete when we were going between one office and the other, and on a lot of these boards there were names of upcoming ships, and there were quite a significant amount of submarines. So yeah, I don't know, is there anything else to tell you? Honestly, they really haven't disclosed any details. This is all still super early, work in progress. When exactly are we getting them to play test? I don't know. I do expect that there will be some sort of a super beta closed PTS for community contributors and super testers, where we will be able to do the first initial testings before they introduce it to live servers on this separate mode. And then when they think they're ready, they're probably going to introduce it for everybody. And then we're all going to be able to test it out, try it and play it and see how much we love and hate it. And when they think they're fine and balanced with that, they will introduce it to the live server. One of my biggest fears and complaints about this whole thing is I don't want to see one class completely demolished, such as destroyers. I don't want the game to become even more frustrating to play. So I really hope that they will make playing against subs fun. Because after all, we are here for surfaced ships that are, you know, surface to surface combat. We didn't come here to fly planes, and we didn't come here to dive submarines. We came here to battle in surface to surface combat. So far, we had that. We were always kind of hindered by carriers, but hopefully, you know, they have it fixed now, and it's not that big of a problem to play against carriers. While in the same time, it's still fun to play carriers. I hope so, that if this does happen, that submarines will be, of course, fun to play. But most of all, I hope that it will be fun to play against submarines. Because the last thing this game needs is another class that's going to terrorize everybody and make it really unfun to play against. We already had that carrier problem for years. The last thing we now need is even more of that super crazy stuff. So yeah, Yu, thank you so much for 5 gifted subs, man. Let me just quickly go here. Tima, thank you for 9. And Peter, thank you for 10. So yeah, and one last thing about this. I also hope that this will not stop them from creating new maps, which is one of my fears. Because they have to remake all the maps now. Every single map is gonna probably have to be remade. And if that's true, then when can we expect new maps? Because they're gonna be preoccupied with rebalancing and redoing the old ones. So yeah, and we're already kind of short on maps.
1 year plus 9 days, thanks Twitch, of watching you decimate opponents. Survive magic spells, radars, uplines of ships, hashtag nerf carriers, and woohoo subs, flambarug, flambar choco, flamba papers.
Flamba choco. Thank you for full year. Is no welcome to Choco League, man. Thank you so much. So yeah, I really hope that it's gonna be fun to play them. It's gonna be fun to play against them. That the maps are going to get redesigned and rebalanced in a fun and good-looking eye candy way, where we're gonna start seeing wrecks and new strategies with this, where a ship's wreck might block a passage, shallow waters, new maps, of course. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm really hoping they don't screw it up with this. And it always surprises me how willing Wargaming is to step in front of flak. Like, it is really, really remarkable to me how much flak these guys are willing to take. And just when you think the water kind of got calmed down, they drop a bomb in it and be like, well, let's go round 2. And then all shit break loose. And a lot of effort and words and comments and videos and messages and everything gets kind of stirred up. And everybody works to kind of calming it down. And when you finally think it's calm, Wargaming pulls the bomb from the other bucket, throws it in, and then you're standing there looking at them. Are you crazy? Yes, we are. And then just throw the bomb, and then the whole hell breaks loose for the second time, and they just keep doing this over and over again. At least it's keeping it interesting and entertaining, right? I don't know. We'll see. Like, we will have to see. There's not much more to say about this than that. But like I said, I really hope it's gonna go good. That was, I'm expecting to some very grim news and to some probably very exciting news. But now I have some funny news to show you. Let me just quickly one second. Where is it? No, that's not the one. Oh, now the funny story. Let me just switch to the main screen. Here we go. So, or we can do it like this, whatever. This is a pot covered in aluminum foil. This was in the fridge for a couple of days, and underneath it is a melon. Now, Mrs. Citadel loves eating melons and watermelons. The way she does it is she buys it, opens it up, and cuts it into a lot of small little pieces that don't have the crust around it. It's just the fruit. And then she puts it in the pot, covers it, puts it in a refrigerator to cool down, and then she just, picks it out when she wants to and eats it directly. That's how she does it every time. Now, today, she told me, I opened the fridge to put something in or to take something out, whatever, and she saw this and she was like, can you please take that and flush it down the toilet? Because I think it's gone rotten. It's been a few days now. I didn't get to eat it. So, just throw it down. And I asked her, like, what's beneath? What's inside? It's a melon. Oh, okay. I don't know how good or how bad these things can smell if they're rotten, so I didn't want to take chances, because sometimes you put something in the fridge that you kind of forget about and it gets, spoiled, and you open the hatch and you almost knock yourself out with the smell. So I didn't want to take any chances. I took this. I got I'm sorry. Yeah, give me a second. I got on top of the toilet. I slightly just pulled that piece. Well, my head is right now, like, here where the camera is. I popped off that part of the tinfoil and I just dropped it into the toilet. And then this happened. Needless to say, that was a bit of a splash. That was a bit of a splash in the toilet. I was standing there looking, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I started laughing my ass off and thinking, and I just started yelling across the apartment, are you fucking kidding me, woman? And she has no idea. Like, she's got no clue what's happening at this point. She was making lunch. And I'm like, are you serious? Did you seriously do this? And she still has no idea. So I leave this as is. I go back to the kitchen and I'm looking at her and then it hit her. Oh, I didn't. Oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did, woman. And then she asked me, like, what kind of an idiot throws something in the toilet without looking? The kind of an idiot that knows that it could smell bad and listened to another idiot who told them to do it. Yeah, this is a fun thing that happened. Oh my god, this never happened before. I hope it never happens again either. This is a very, very bizarre and weird experience. But I hope it made you laugh. And now the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, that I wanted to show you, is the tiger is finally done. The only thing that's missing on it are stickers. It has, let's see. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, actually, 12 things that you can put on it, like words. And it has a whole bunch of insignias, like German crosses that the army had. It's just a black cross with white surroundings. Some sort of a ghost, some sort of a pyramid, come out fighting, some sort of a cat, a dragon, World of Tanks crap. And then the words are Berserker, Tiger, Siegfried, Berlin, Alta Fritz, Eugen, Hansel, Ferdinand, Ragnarok, Jaeger, Jotun, once more Tiger, and Hercules. So the only thing that's missing on this model, yeah, it's a Kobe Tiger. The only thing it's missing is these stickers. And I don't know which ones of these I'm going to put. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some of these German crosses on spaces which they were supposed to go, and a tiger. As for the rest, I don't know. I'll probably put a Berlin or a Jaeger or something. I'm really not sure. But it looks absolutely amazing. It even took me a while to actually get used to the fact that now it has a turret. The turret can turn 360 degrees. You can elevate the gun up and down a bit. You can pop the hatch that you can see here for the commander. Oh, we'll talk about that in a second. And you can pop, you can't really see it from any of the pictures that I've shown. I'm actually trying to open it right now. Oh, here we go. There's another hatch right here that you can pop open. And I'm guessing that's for the gunner. Because the gunner on the Tiger had, I think, hatch himself. I'm not sure. There are these two hatches that you can open for the machine gunner and the driver. And there's a hatch that you can open for the engine. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 openable hatches. You can rotate the turret. You can elevate the gun up and down. And the tracks are perfectly working. And I don't know if you can actually hear it. They are, you know, you can drive the bloody tank. It looks awesome. If you're a tanks fan, I will definitely recommend it. It's pretty big and relatively heavy for Legos. So that's kind of nice. Yeah. I'm satisfied with how it looks. There's a couple of things that I'm not too happy about. For example, the gun. Let's see. Here. The gun has this muzzle flash hider. I don't know how you called it. And it goes, you stick it on top of the gun barrel. However, the gun barrel is actually long to like here. So this thing goes on to the very tippity top of the entire gun. It doesn't really like fit in a lot. You would expect that the gun will be till here. Muzzle brake, yeah, it's not actually till here. It goes not even to half of this segment here. So it's very easy to just pull it out. And if you can see, hello, from here, the gun goes on this like gun mantlet, but it's all pieces. This thing here is the only thing that actually is holding the whole gun on the turret. So if you play with the gun elevation up and down, it's very easy to actually pull the entire gun barrel out of the turret. I mean, it's extremely easy to put it back as well, but there's no reinforcements holding the gun. It won't fall off on its own, don't get me wrong, but if you're gonna play with it, it's very easy to actually detach it from the rest of the turret. That's one of the things that I'm not exactly overly happy about, but hey. And about this thing, this is before the turret was done, and the exhausts. This is the little panther that I got, if you remember. I wanted to make a joke, pull the turret out from this panther, and put it on top of the tiger, because I'm pretty sure they have the same case, the same place where you can fit it in. This turret will not go out. I almost broke my nails and my fingers. I broke a couple of toothpicks. I demolished this fucking thing almost completely. I could not pull the turret out from the body. It won't go. I can rotate it, no problem, but you can't detach it. It won't go. It won't budge. I have never seen a Lego so stuck on one another that it's working perfectly, but you can't detach them. It's absolutely fucking insane. I wanted to make a joke about it, just put this turret and say, I don't feel like assembling the tiger turret. I think this looks fine, and then tweet it out, but it wouldn't go. So I just decided, you know what, this whole fucking thing is so small, I'm just gonna put it on top of the tiger and take a picture, because these are the two models that I got. Yeah, it's not Lego, it's Kobe, but I'll just call it Lego because everybody knows Lego. But I'm satisfied. Like, these wheels are also turning. You can also play with this fucking thing, and it rotates the gun completely. If it wasn't for these little things, they're kind of blocking it to rotate more than maybe 60 degrees. But this is a fun experience. I already ordered the Bismarck from Kobe store as well. Pretty pricey though, but hey. And when I do the stickers and all that stuff, and when I clean my workspace, I will probably be putting these above my PC. And hopefully when I get... I think the Bismarck should be here within a week, 2 at best. And hopefully when I get a new PC, maybe we can organize a stream where I assemble the Bismarck on the stream. We'll see about that. Because this Tiger, I was not in a rush. This Tiger took me like 3 to 4 hours to assemble the hull. And it took me about, I don't know, probably an hour this morning to assemble the turret. So assembling a ship is going to be a lot more longer experience. So we'll see about that as well eventually.